Thank you. Let's leave it at that. Now, insult and disrespect the president at your own risk. This is a resounding message coming from various leaders allied to the head of state, who have now become more vocal in the boss's defense. In Kitui County, chaos almost ensued at Building Bridges Initiative rally after leaders allied to Deputy President William Ruto demanded to be allocated seats in the front row of the main dais. Katundu South MP Moses Kuria was roughed up and almost thrown out of the venue. And this is what we want to discuss right now, just the development that we have as far as the BBI is concerned, also the headlining stories on the front pages of the dailies. Alice, we have a very interesting editorial cartoon also in the Star today, right? There you go. If you will not stop reggae, and we can see, if we just put it on a full screen so that they can see it as well.
I don't have.
There we go. Right, we have it on the screen, Alice, but yeah, you can see it there.
You're not so reggae.
And were you there, Alice?
No, I wasn't there. I was not there. Maybe I'll be in the next.
You'll be in the next. But your reactions so far, they feel that, or you do feel that your camp was slighted on this?
I think your first statement was about those people who seem to be sending messages, warning messages to others that they are insulting the president and they will not be tolerated. First and foremost, I think the country actually has started a war. And there are many people, including my own governor. There is also Kiraito over the weekend.
War is a strong verbiage to use?
No, I will call it war. How does war start? War starts with intolerance. War starts with incitement. War starts with evicting other and creating conflict, disagreements that cannot be resolved in a civil manner. And this is how you create violence. What you saw in Mombasa, what you have seen now in Kitui. Thereafter, if you followed the social media, Gilu was reminded about her earlier statements about evicting some people, stopping some traders from going to her area, and all that kind of thing. So when you now listen to the conversations, and of course, I think Moses was lucky to get out of there alive, because the statement by Gilu to a mob like that, we excited. I mean, how do you control? I think they were the Kitui people. I must commend them, because I think that Moses would have been easily lynched. It doesn't take more than 2 minutes. So I am wondering, don't we have law enforcement agencies that should be dealing with abuse or disrespect against the president? How then does, for example, my governor become my manager, become the one who will say what I should say and what I shouldn't say? We have national institutions that should actually deal with that. Why should we allow statements like the ones Giru made, statement like the one Kiraito has made, the one Governor Mwangwa has made? These people should be summoned today. Not, I don't want to say by DCI, but by the National Cohesion Commission. Because if we go on like this, then I will also zone Kandara or a small area in my village and say nobody should come there.
Right. Let's say
should we encourage that?
Right, Richard Onyonka, they feel that they are slighted in this particular BBI rallies for Mombasa, Kitui right now. We thought this should be a very cohesive joint adventure, so to speak, between the different divide of the political sides. Why are we seeing some other legislators not allowed on the podium? They're not on the list as it is. They're roughed up as it is. We thought BBI should be, the panacea to unity in this country and cohesion.
Kenyan politics has its own contradictions. The rally we had in Kisii, we invited the governor, James Ongwae, invited everybody. Those members of parliament who actually were willing to come came. We held consultative meetings the night before. We discussed the issues that the Kisii community felt were paramount for the BBI, for us as a community and for a region. And we didn't have any controversy per se. There were issues where some people were unhappy, as usual, and I would like to state clearly that people who support the deputy president feel, people in Kisii felt that they were not included in those rallies and everything. But we moved on well. We didn't have outstanding issues. Second thing, Dibal, these rallies are actually for the local leadership. When we had the rallies in Kisii, we had members from Luo Nyanza and Kuria came in, and they made presentations and they were given an opportunity to speak. Especially one of the issues.
So it is for the local leadership?
It is actually for
what is the main agenda within?
No, I'm coming there.
Sure.
It is actually meant for the local leadership. And if you notice, even the members of parliament from Luo Nyanza and Kuria who came there, unless there was one like my friend Kitahama, who actually had a very passionate presentation to make about why the Kuria community feels the time has come for them to be given their own county. And initially even the crowd was not very receptive to him, but at the end of it all, he made his point and they clapped for him and they said, no, let him, these are the issues we need to discuss because they're very sensitive issues. Now, we are in Kitui. I was there. As members of parliament, we were allowed to sit at the back. For us, perfect. We didn't have any issues. The meeting started. My very good friend, I call him Mr. President, Mr. Moses Kuria, comes in and then drama starts. They come in from the back, all right, and as he's walking in with my chairman, Kimani Ichung'wah, and Murkomen said he wanted to sit at the front, and everybody actually said, yes, allow him, because the senators were sitting at the front. But Dibal, Moses Kuria is an MP like me. I wasn't making drama or creating a scenario where I'm demanding. I think you were there. All of us were there. We were not demanding, why am I not being allowed? I'm a deputy party leader for Kenya. I wasn't even allowed to speak. That wasn't the issue. So what the issues that are coming out on these rallies is that there's a design by my brother Moses Kuria, I call him Mr. President, and he's running for president. He has said it. I think maybe he's trying to make political mileage out of it, that he wants to create a scenario. And I thank Kalonzo Musyoka and Prime Minister Raila. They are the ones who actually told that crowd, contrary to my sister Alice saying that the people of Kitui were very good and they didn't lynch them. No, the leadership on the high table demanded that Moses Kuria, they actually kept sending their security, go and make sure nothing happens to Moses Kuria.
And it was brought back and seated.
And it was brought back and seated. And
I mean, look, it's on clip.
Let me just finish.
Just give credit to the people.
Mheshimiwa Alice, please allow me to finish, then you can challenge it. The last issue that I wanted to say is this. There's some basic decorum that is expected from us as leaders. I hope that the future rallies which are going to come up will be allowing the leadership that would want to visit those rallies, and they come there and they speak their mind, particularly the local leadership. For me, Moses Kuria going to Kitui and Kimani Ichung'wah and all other my brothers who are there as members of parliament, yes, may not add value to that group. Moses Kuria should wait when there's going to be a meeting in Kiambu, which will be there, or can I finish? No, let me finish, please. Let me finish. And if, for us, when the function was taking place in Kisii, if Moses Kuria had made a request and said, I would like to come and bring one or two issues and everything, we would allow him to come and make that presentation. There is really no need for these incidents to take place.
Thank you.
Yes.
Just a moment. Let's hear from Haman.
I think if you want to understand something, you have to break it down. Like I tried to break this issue of regional government, but after I had done that, I'm surprised that we have continued to behave like I never said anything. So I hope this time it will be different. In Kitui, Moses Kuria and his team came when the function was underway. That is a fact. In matters of protocol and decorum and just respect, sometimes when you come to a function, when you are late, you just sit at the back and let, as a good book says, let people say, that is Governor Nyang' Nyong'o. He can't sit at the back. That was not observed. Instead, they demanded to be recognized, to go at the front. Usually, even if you look at the front there, because we have even matters of protocol, the Prime Minister, former Prime Minister is there, former Vice President is there, and the governors around there. You are nowhere near there because even protocol alone demands that you just sit nyuma kidogo. That was bad. It wasn't equally good for, I think, Governor Ngilu to say things that would suggest she was not happy with what was going on, and that could endanger somebody's life, like Alice says. But I blame Moses Kuria and his team and Murkomen, because nobody was cheered the way Moses Kuria was cheered. Is that right? You are there.
True.
Nobody was cheered the way Murkomen was cheered. Is that right? Yeah, you are there, Father. You are there.
I watched clips.
Yes. The crowd actually wanted these fellows to be given respect, to be accorded respect, given where to sit, and they would even have demanded they speak. So it is Moses Kuria and his team who spoiled for themselves. If they had come early to the function, they had this disruptive thing, that being clever to show, to try to prove a point. But if they just came in time, they would have been given where to speak. And at the time of introduction, they would have been cheered as widely as they were cheered, and I am sure they would have spoken, because the crowd would have demanded. But the manner in which they came made things bad for them. And in fact, that's dangerous. It's not even good. Right. And they need to so it portrays leaders in a bad image. You know, you come out badly as leaders. You know, that pushing and what. Because these are our leaders. We can't do that to them. But they invite it on themselves. I will tell them anytime that was wrong.
All right, let's run it up with Farah Malim.
You see, Dibal, if a concept is meted by a section of the leadership or the population and they want to go and popularize it, and you come out openly against it, you say this concept is not right, and it is, you oppose it, and then at some stage down the line, you suddenly change your mind again and say, I'm going to support it. And everybody knows that this is just politics. Then clearly, people will think that the whole idea of coming in there is to sabotage this from inside. It's a simple thing. Very, very simple thing. You don't expect, it's a divide right now. There's a pro-BBI and anti-BBI, for whatever reasons. And everything that's said by the folks who are opposed to it before, call them tanga-tanga, whatever you want to call them, to now try and come into the center of it and say that we support this thing is not going to be taken kindly. So the idea is, take your own bold, brave position on this thing and stick by that. You want to go and create your narrative out there and convince people, go out there and convince people. Don't go there to the meeting.
But let me a very simple solution maybe to this particular conundrum that we are in right now. Since BBI is a canopy covering every Kenyan as it is right now, why don't we have a joint secretariat, right? Between just a moment. Between, the different sides of the divide, who are organizing or should be the organizing committee for this particular rallies, so that we avoid such scenarios that we're seeing right now of Moses Kuria and going to Mombasa. There's toying and froing between these political different.
I haven't finished. Let me just finish and answer you exactly that. This it's a canopy, yes, but within that, you think this is going to unite Kenyans. Somebody else thinks this is a plot to create an office for somebody else. You understand my point? There is no conformity in that. You see, it's like somebody who was following the tracks of a lion, and then he sees the lion and he says, look, I can see the lion, but I don't see the tracks. You know what I mean? He's scared of the lion, but he's looking for an excuse not to see the lion. He says, I can't see the tracks. So this thing is something that was initiated by those two folks. If you didn't agree with them, if you did not believe it, if you went public against it, for God's sake, maintain your own stance in there and go and appeal to Kenyans and tell them this is not the right thing. And allow those ones who think it's the right thing to go and sell it. But if you have to dribble all over,
thank you,
it doesn't make sense.
So the problem is from the organizing point of view, Alice Wahome.
If you remember earlier, maybe like a month ago, Professor Manyora, because he's saying that we are not listening to what he's saying, Professor Manyora said that this process, we are looking for order in this process, yes, and all from this process. It is not intended, there will be no order, and it is not intended to have order in terms of protocol, in terms of who speaks first. It is just a process to be rushed without any legal backing or any legal framework to be able to guide the conversation. This is a political thing. It's not participation by Kenyans. It's a campaign for, I don't know for what, because the report itself is being campaigned for or is supposed to be managed by the Haji task force. You see, those are two different things. But also Haji will take blame. Senator Haji will take blame from Kenyans, because Haji is sending people in those platforms, in those forums, instead of the other way around. It is him who should be the manager, so that the space and platform can be clear for everybody with some order. You know, and then once we reach the stage of campaigning for either yes or no, then teams can now split if need be. Because obviously maybe there will be a split of the teams. But at this particular stage, I thought the call by the President and the Right Honorable Raila Odinga is to unite the country. Try and have convergence of ideas, so that in fact the people opposing these particular teams should be the ones getting the front seat, should be the ones being embraced, so that then possibly their negative or their fears can be addressed. But that's not what is happening. I think that they feel, and you know, Farah has said, it's like they are not invited. So why are we then camouflaging this as a building bridges initiative? Then I think the rallies should adopt another name, where the Building Bridges Initiative, which is managed by the task force, should actually proceed, because there will be a confusion and they will be given a bad name by all these campaigns and fights, and I think Haji should withdraw. Right. I believe he should withdraw his teams, so that once we do whatever we are doing in the podiums, whatever memorandums or discussions come out of that, then can be presented to him in an orderly manner, because he has his own schedule.
Thank you.
But finally then, why don't we have a legal framework? If we seriously want to engage Kenyans, can we have a legal framework to help Haji deal with all this? So come back to the same point. It is not intended to have order. It's a handshake by two people. Everybody else who doesn't believe in that is not welcome.
So,
it's not included. It's not included.
Just for viewers' sake, it is not true that the Haji team is attending those rallies.
No, they're not attending. They're sending.
No.
But we need to uncouple from the Haji team and the rallies.
They're not involved.
It was said they would. Yes. And in Kakamega they were supposed to have been there, but the memorandum was actually received by Wako in his capacity as a Western leader, a leader from Western. Yes. Right. In Kitui it was received by Raila. I think so.
Even Rose Museo was there.
But I think also, Alice, we're talking on two different issues between the task force, legal framework that you're talking about, the task force, and the rallies. We are actually focusing on the rallies right now.
You know, there is a time we say, because of accusation of conflict of interest, then you have to either declare or leave a particular place or space or discussion if you feel there will be conflict of interest. If Senator Wako, who is actually a member of the task force, feels that he cannot be at the same time the one creating national unity and the one going to divide people in Bukungu or wherever. Rose Museo was also in Kitui and is a member of the task force. Do they need to be there if they have the platform to guide? And I think
sequentially, then we will be winding up briefly.
The following. The debate is being carried out by Kenyan. I'm a Kenyan, and I think I have the right under the Constitution to be anywhere. And if there's something like BBI, and I feel we should be debating it, I have the right to assemble with anybody and debate it. In fact, when I was interviewing Tony Gashoka the other day, I said, look, as far as I'm concerned, everybody who has views about the BBI should go out there and propagate it. And if somebody is propagating a view about BBI, don't begrudge them for doing so. I think, Alice, some of you declared the other day that you're going to have rallies to popularize the BBI. That's fine. There's no problem. Because what you're going to be discussing is one document called the BBI, nothing different. And in the end, if you are discussing it there, you may find that you merge. I think what the governors did is that we were concerned about the BBI, especially in our region, and we said, look, this thing has been out for some time. Why are we silent about it? We should begin talking about it. And the propagators said, fine, no problem. What are you proposing? And we proposed. And what we proposed, that happened in Kisii, and we have people from other regions. say, okay, why don't we do it now? Other regions do. You know, people are trying to make this thing as it was a grand conspiracy. I mean, I was there. You know, it's being mystified and conspiratorial theories brought forth, which were not there, really. So let's just be sober and say, okay, if you disagree with how those people are doing it, do yours. Talk to people. Nobody will stop you.
That's really the best
thing. Yeah, that's the best thing. Just talk to people.
Plan your own things.
Plan your own things. Call people.
Naivasha the other day, and invite everybody. If you want.
Everybody.
Yeah, if you don't want to invite everybody,
don't begin belittling the others, calling them all kinds of names. I feel like offended, really, when somebody doesn't see my record in struggles in this nation, that now when I go to BBI, I become a devil.